waking up one morning, and your neighbor is asleep on the street. You try to wake them. You can't. You call for help. By the time help arrives, 3 more people have collapsed. No warning, no explanation, no cure. This didn't happen in a movie. It didn't happen in a nightmare. It happened in a real village with real people. And it happened again, and again, and again, for 5 years. Kalachi, a small quiet village in the Akmola region of northern Kazakhstan. Population, just over 600 people. Flat frozen land as far as the eye can see. Winters that drop to -30 degrees. Simple life, farming, family, community. Nobody had ever heard of Kalachi. Nobody had any reason to. Until the spring of 2010, when the sleeping started. It began with one man, a 54-year-old resident named Viktor. He fell asleep suddenly in the middle of the afternoon. His family couldn't wake him. He slept for 2 full days. When he finally opened his eyes, he remembered nothing. They thought it was a medical episode, a one-time thing. It wasn't. Within weeks, it happened again. Different person, same village, same symptoms. Then again. People would be going about their normal day, and then simply drop. Some described feeling intensely drunk before losing consciousness. Others reported vivid hallucinations, seeing things that weren't there, hearing voices, feeling a crushing heaviness pulling them down. Children fell asleep in class and couldn't be woken. Strong, healthy adults dropped in the middle of conversations. And when they woke up, nothing. No memory. Just confusion and fear. In March 2013, during one of the coldest weeks of the year, entire families began collapsing at once. Up to 1/3 of the village was asleep simultaneously. The ones still awake moved quietly through the streets, not knowing if they would be next. Word reached the authorities. The response came in waves. First, local doctors from the nearest town of Essel arrived, found nothing, referred the cases upward. The national medical teams from the capital Astana, more tests, still nothing. Then external researchers, scientists from Russia, independent toxicologists, neurological specialists. The water clean, the air within normal range, the soil, no unusual compounds. One by one, every explanation collapsed. The scientists filed their reports, packed their equipment, and left. The sleeping continued. Here's where the story gets darker. One woman, Ludmila, a schoolteacher in her 50s, described waking to find horses galloping through her bedroom walls. She could hear the horses. She could feel the floor vibrate. She reached for her husband beside her. He was unconscious and could not be woken. A young boy, 8 years old, described seeing tiny people crawling across his ceiling just before everything went dark. When he woke up 2 days later, he asked his mother if the small people were gone. One man came to consciousness in his garden, with no memory of leaving his house. His hands were bleeding. What happened during the hours he was missing? Nobody knows. By the winter of 2014, Kalachi was hollowing out. 60 families had already left. Houses stood empty with doors still unlocked, the way people leave when they don't plan to come back. Those who remained developed rituals of survival, morning check-ins, a knock on the door every day, just to confirm the person inside was still awake. In early 2015, 5 years after Viktor first collapsed, researchers made a discovery that changed everything. Approximately 10 kilometers from Kalachi, hidden beneath the steppe, sat an abandoned Soviet-era uranium mine. The Krasnogorsky mine, shut down in the 1990s, left underground to decay. As the mine deteriorated, it began releasing carbon monoxide and hydrocarbon gases into the surrounding earth. These gases seeped upward through the soil and collected just above ground level, exactly where people lived. On certain days, certain wind patterns, certain temperatures. The levels would spike just enough to cause acute oxygen deficiency in the brain. In simple terms, the village was being silently, invisibly suffocated. For 5 years, the people of Kalachi had been breathing the poison of a dead empire, and nobody had thought to look underground. The sleeping stopped once residents were relocated. Just like that. After 5 years, it was over. But Kalachi was gone. Streets empty. Windows dark. The morning check-in knocks silent forever. The official explanation is carbon monoxide and hydrocarbon gas, and the evidence supports it. But even today, some researchers are not entirely satisfied. The gas levels recorded were not always high enough to fully account for the severity of the symptoms. The hallucinations were unusually vivid, the memory loss deeper than typical exposure usually produces. Some scientists believe there may have been an additional compound that was never identified. The mine has not been fully excavated. Its deepest chambers have never been properly examined. The full truth of what happened in Kalachi may still be underground. These were ordinary people, living ordinary lives. And something they could not see, could not smell, could not taste, began taking days from them. Hours they would never recover. Memories that simply did not exist. Nobody was punished. Nobody was held responsible. Because the thing that caused it no longer existed. The people of Kalachi simply lost 5 years of their lives and were quietly moved to another town. Kalachi is empty now. The wind moves through the streets. The doors of abandoned houses